I'm George Soros. I'm 94 years old. I've made over $20 billion in my lifetime. But if I woke up tomorrow morning with absolutely nothing, $0 in my bank account, no connections, no reputation, no fund to manage, I know exactly what I would do, and it's not what you think. It's not some complex derivative trade or sophisticated currency speculation. It's not about finding the next Amazon or timing the perfect market crash. What I would do is something so simple that most people dismiss it as boring. Something so obvious that the investment community ignores it completely. Something so fundamental that it works in any economy, any market, any century. I would make one trade, just one. And I would spend every waking hour for the next 12 months executing this single strategy. By the end of 2026, I would have my first million. By the end of 2027, I would have 10 million. By 2030, I would be back in the billionaire club. This isn't theory. This isn't hope. This isn't some motivational nonsense about positive thinking. This is a mathematical certainty based on 70 years of understanding how money really works, how markets really behave, how human nature creates predictable opportunities for those who know where to look. But before I tell you what that trade is, I need to tell you why most people starting with nothing stay with nothing. Why 95% of people who try to build wealth fail completely. Why even smart, educated, hardworking people spend their entire lives trading time for money instead of building systems that generate money while they sleep. It's not because they lack intelligence. It's not because they lack opportunity. It's not because the system is rigged against them. It's because they fundamentally misunderstand what wealth building actually is. They think wealth building is about finding the right stock, the right property, the right business idea. They think it's about having enough starting capital or getting lucky with timing or knowing the right people. They're wrong. Wealth building is about understanding one simple principle that I learned as a child hiding from the Nazis in Budapest. Everything valuable in this world is created by solving problems for other people. The bigger the problem you solve, the more valuable you become. The more people you solve it for, the wealthier you get. It's not complicated. But it requires thinking differently than everyone else. It requires seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. It requires understanding that in a world of 7 billion people, there are 7 billion problems waiting to be solved, and every single one of those problems represents a potential source of income. Here's what I would do if I started 2026 with $0. I would identify the one problem that meets 3 criteria. First, it's a problem that millions of people have right now today, not some hypothetical future problem. Second, it's a problem that people are already spending money to solve, proving there's a real market, not just a nice idea. Third, it's a problem that I can solve better, faster, or cheaper than the current solutions available. Let me give you the specific problem I would target if I were starting over in 2026. Financial anxiety. Not financial planning, not investment advice, not wealth management, financial anxiety. The sleepless nights that 73% of Americans experience because of money worries, the constant stress that comes from living paycheck to paycheck even when you make 6 figures, the paralyzing fear that you're making the wrong financial decisions and will end up broke in retirement. This is a $450 billion problem. People spend more money trying to reduce financial anxiety than they spend on actual investments. They buy courses they never complete. They subscribe to newsletters they never read. They hire advisors who don't understand their real concerns. They attend seminars that promise get-rich-quick solutions. But here's what none of these solutions address. Financial anxiety isn't caused by lack of knowledge. It's caused by lack of clarity. People don't need more information about investing. They need simple, specific, actionable steps they can take immediately to feel more secure about their financial future. They need someone to tell them exactly what to do, when to do it, and why it matters. They need certainty in an uncertain world. And this is where the opportunity exists. If I were starting with nothing today, I would build the simplest possible solution to this problem. Not a hedge fund, not a robo-advisor, not another financial planning app. I would build a service that eliminates financial anxiety for ordinary people by giving them a clear, step-by-step plan they can follow without needing to understand complex financial concepts. Here's exactly how I would structure this business. I would create a 90-day financial clarity program, 3 months, 12 specific actions, 1 action per week. Each action takes less than 2 hours to complete. Each action builds on the previous one. By the end of 90 days, participants have eliminated their financial anxiety not by becoming investment experts, but by creating a simple system that automatically handles their money decisions. Week 1. Calculate your real net worth, including assets and debts most people forget about. Week 2. Create an emergency fund that actually works for your lifestyle and income level. Week 3. Automate your essential expenses so you never worry about paying bills again. Week 4. Set up the one investment account that handles 90% of long-term wealth building, and so on, for 12 weeks. Each step is specific, measurable, and achievable for someone with no financial background. More importantly, each step immediately reduces anxiety because participants can see concrete progress every single week. This isn't revolutionary. It's not sexy. It's not complex enough to impress financial professionals, but it works. And it solves a real problem for real people who are willing to pay for a real solution. Now, here's the key insight that separates this from every other financial education business. I wouldn't try to teach people about finance. I would eliminate their need to learn about finance. Instead of explaining why diversification matters, I would give them a specific portfolio allocation they can implement in 15 minutes. Instead of teaching them about compound interest, I would show them exactly where to put their money so compound interest works automatically. Instead of explaining market cycles, I would give them a strategy that works regardless of market conditions. The goal isn't to create informed investors. The goal is to create financially secure people who don't need to think about investing. This is what I call the McDonald's approach to wealth building. McDonald's doesn't try to teach customers how to cook hamburgers. They create a system that delivers consistent results without requiring expertise from the customer. Most financial services try to turn customers into experts. I would turn customers into successful implementers. Here's how I would launch this business with $0. Phase 1. Validate the market. I would spend my first month proving that people actually want this solution. Not by conducting surveys or focus groups, but by pre-selling the program before it exists. I would create a simple landing page explaining the 90-day financial clarity program. I would drive traffic to this page using free methods, posting in relevant Facebook groups, commenting thoughtfully on financial stress discussions in Reddit, writing guest articles for personal finance blogs, recording short videos answering specific questions about financial anxiety. My goal would be to pre-sell 100 spots at $297 each. If I can't pre-sell 100 spots, the market isn't ready for this solution, and I would pivot to a different problem. But I'm confident I could pre-sell 500 spots within 30 days, generating $148,500 in revenue before creating a single piece of content. This validates both market demand and my ability to communicate the value proposition effectively. Phase 2. Deliver exceptional results. Month 2 would be spent creating the actual program content and delivering it to my first 100 customers. The content creation cost $0. I would record videos using my phone. I would create worksheets using free Google Docs templates. I would build the member portal using free WordPress tools. The key is not production value, but transformation value. Customers don't care if the videos are professionally produced. They care if following the program eliminates their financial anxiety. I would focus entirely on creating clear, specific, actionable content that produces immediate results. More importantly, I would personally engage with every single customer during their 90-day journey. I would answer their questions, celebrate their progress, help them overcome obstacles. This level of personal attention isn't scalable, but it's essential for creating the testimonials and case studies that will drive future growth. Phase 3. Scale systematically. By month 3, I would have 100 customers completing the program with measurable results. Some would have built their first emergency fund. Others would have automated their finances for the first time. Many would report sleeping better because they finally have clarity about their financial future. These results become the foundation for scaling. I would document every success story. I would track every metric that matters: completion rates, satisfaction scores, specific financial improvements. I would turn the best results into case studies that demonstrate the program's effectiveness. Then, I would use these case studies to sell the next cohort, not 100 customers this time, but 500. At $297 each, that's $148 with $500 in revenue. But more importantly, it's 500 more success stories to fuel further growth. By month 6, I would be running 1,000-person cohorts. By month 12, I would have generated over $2 million in revenue while solving a real problem for thousands of people. But this is just the beginning. The real wealth isn't in the initial program sales. The real wealth is in the ecosystem that emerges around the core solution. Successful customers want additional services: one-on-one coaching, advanced programs, community access, live events. Each additional service increases the lifetime value of every customer while providing more ways to solve their evolving financial challenges. Within 2 years, a simple 90-day program becomes a comprehensive financial anxiety elimination system, generating 8-figure annual revenue. This is how you build wealth starting from nothing. Not by finding the perfect investment or timing the market or getting lucky with a startup. You identify a valuable problem, create a simple solution, prove it works, then scale systematically. But let me tell you why most people won't execute this plan, even though it's practically guaranteed to work. They'll dismiss it as too simple. They'll think that real wealth requires complex strategies, sophisticated financial instruments, insider knowledge, or massive starting capital. They'll look for shortcuts. They'll chase shiny objects. They'll try to skip the fundamental step of solving real problems for real people. This is human nature, and human nature is why this opportunity will always exist. While everyone else is looking for get-rich-quick schemes, smart money is building simple solutions to big problems. While others are trying to time markets or pick winning stocks, successful entrepreneurs are creating systems that generate predictable income, regardless of market conditions. While the masses are paralyzed by analysis paralysis, action takers are building real businesses that produce real wealth. Here's another reason most people won't follow this path. It requires patience. The financial clarity program I described won't make you rich overnight. It won't generate passive income without work. It won't scale to millions of customers without years of systematic effort. It's a legitimate business that requires legitimate effort over a legitimate time frame. Most people aren't willing to commit to 12 months of focused execution on a single strategy. They want to try 3 different approaches simultaneously, hedge their bets, keep their options open. This scattered approach guarantees mediocre results in multiple areas instead of exceptional results in one area. Successful wealth building requires the discipline to say no to every other opportunity, so you can say yes completely to the right opportunity. It requires betting everything on your ability to solve one problem better than anyone else currently solving it. It requires the confidence to ignore critics who will tell you that your approach is too simple, too obvious, or not innovative. Enough. But there's something even more fundamental that prevents most people from succeeding with this strategy. They don't really believe they can create value for others. They've been conditioned to think that value creation requires special talents, advanced degrees, unique insights, or breakthrough innovations. They don't realize that most valuable businesses solve ordinary problems in slightly better ways. McDonald's didn't invent hamburgers. They just made hamburgers more convenient and consistent than anyone else. Starbucks didn't invent coffee. They made coffee more accessible and experiential than anyone else. Amazon didn't invent retail. They made buying things easier and faster than anyone else. The financial clarity program I described doesn't require revolutionary insights about investing or groundbreaking financial innovations. It just requires organizing existing knowledge in a way that eliminates anxiety and produces results for people who are currently overwhelmed by conflicting advice and complex strategies. This is what I call obvious innovation, taking something that experts make complicated and making it simple for regular people. Taking something that requires specialized knowledge and creating systems that work without specialized knowledge. Taking something that feels risky and uncertain and making it feel safe and predictable. The wealth is in the simplification, not the complication. If I were starting with nothing in 2026, I would focus entirely on becoming the best in the world at eliminating financial anxiety for ordinary people. Not financial planning, not investment management, not wealth creation strategies, just anxiety elimination. This narrow focus would allow me to create better solutions, serve customers more effectively, and build a stronger reputation than competitors trying to be everything to everyone. Within 5 years, I would own this specific market segment completely. Let me share the 3 principles that would guide every decision I made while building this business from $0 to 8 figures. Principle 1. Solve problems. Don't chase money. Money is a byproduct of value creation, not the primary goal. The moment you start optimizing for revenue instead of results, you begin the process of destroying your business. I would measure success by the number of people who complete the 90-day program and report significant reduction in financial anxiety. Revenue would be a secondary metric that naturally increases as more people achieve better results. This approach seems counterintuitive because most business advice focuses on maximizing profit margins, increasing prices, reducing costs. But sustainable wealth comes from creating such obvious value that customers eagerly pay for your solutions and enthusiastically recommend you to others. When you solve real problems exceptionally well, money follows automatically. When you chase money without solving problems, both the money and the problems multiply. Principle 2. Build systems, not services. Most people starting a business think in terms of trading time for money at a higher hourly rate. They create consulting practices, freelance services, or expertise-based businesses that require their personal involvement in every transaction. These businesses can generate good income, but they can't generate real wealth because they don't scale beyond the founder's available time. The financial clarity program I described is systematized from day one. The content is created once and delivered to unlimited customers. The processes are documented and repeatable. The results are measurable and predictable. This systematic approach allows the business to grow without requiring proportional increases in my personal time investment. By year 2, the business runs primarily on systems and processes, not on my daily involvement. This is what creates the freedom to build additional businesses, make investments, or pursue other opportunities while the original business continues generating income automatically. Principle 3. Compound relationships, not just returns. Every customer who achieves great results becomes a potential source of referrals, testimonials, case studies, and insights for improving the program. Every successful interaction builds reputation and credibility that makes future sales easier. Every problem solved increases expertise and authority that justifies higher prices and attracts better opportunities. This compounding effect is more powerful than financial compound interest because it accelerates everything: customer acquisition, revenue growth, market positioning, business opportunities, personal wealth. Most entrepreneurs treat customers as transactions. Smart entrepreneurs treat customers as relationships that compound over time into business empires. I would invest heavily in customer success, not just customer acquisition. I would prioritize long-term customer satisfaction over short-term profit maximization. I would build community among customers so they support each other's success while strengthening their connection to my brand. Within 3 years, this relationship-focused approach would create a business ecosystem where customers become advocates, advocates become partners, and partners become collaborators in building additional revenue streams that serve the same market with complementary solutions. Now, let me address the elephant in the room. What if you're not George Soros? What if you don't have 70 years of experience reading markets and understanding human psychology? What if you're just an ordinary person with ordinary skills trying to build wealth from nothing? The principles I've described work regardless of your background, experience, or current knowledge level. They work because they're based on universal human needs: and fundamental business principles, not on specialized expertise or unique advantages. The financial anxiety problem exists whether you're a legendary investor or a recent college graduate. The systematic approach to solving problems works whether you have decades of business experience or you're starting your first venture. The relationship-building strategies are effective whether you have an established reputation or you're completely unknown. Here's what you would need to successfully execute this strategy starting with $0 in 2026. First, absolute clarity about the problem you're solving. Not a vague problem like people need better financial advice. A specific problem like working professionals earning $50,000 to $150,000 annually lose sleep because they don't know if they're saving enough for retirement and don't trust themselves to make investment decisions. The more specific your problem definition, the easier it becomes to create solutions that actually work and market them to people who desperately want those solutions. Second, unwavering commitment to execution over innovation. Don't try to reinvent financial planning or create revolutionary investment strategies. Take existing knowledge and organize it in a way that produces better results for your specific target market. Innovation is overrated. Execution is underrated. Most successful businesses are built on superior execution of obvious ideas, not on breakthrough innovations that nobody understands. Third, patient persistence through the inevitable challenges. Every business faces obstacles, setbacks, criticism, and periods where growth stalls or reverses. The difference between businesses that succeed and businesses that fail isn't the absence of problems, but the persistence to solve problems systematically until the business becomes resilient and self-sustaining. If you can commit to working on this one strategy for 12 consecutive months without getting distracted by other opportunities or discouraged by temporary setbacks, you will build a profitable business. If you can commit for 24 months, you will build a scalable business. If you can commit for 36 months, you will build generational wealth. But here's the real secret that nobody wants to hear. This strategy is boring. It's not sexy. It won't make you famous on social media. It won't generate viral marketing campaigns or disruptive innovation awards. It's just a systematic approach to solving real problems for real people in exchange for real money. And that's exactly why it works. While everyone else is chasing exciting opportunities that sound impressive but produce mediocre results, you'll be building something mundane that generates extraordinary wealth. While others are trying to time markets or pick winning investments, you'll be creating predictable income streams that compound regardless of market conditions. While the masses are looking for shortcuts and hacks, you'll be building fundamental value that sustains itself over decades. This is the paradox of wealth building. The most reliable strategies are also the most obvious strategies. The most effective approaches are also the most boring approaches. The most profitable businesses are often the most mundane businesses. Everyone knows this intellectually, but very few people have the discipline to act on this knowledge consistently over extended periods. They get distracted by more exciting opportunities. They convince themselves that their situation is different, that they need a more sophisticated approach, that obvious strategies won't work for them. This is why the opportunity always exists. Human nature creates consistent demand for simple solutions to common problems, while human nature also prevents most people from focusing long enough to build and deliver those simple solutions effectively. If you can resist the temptation to overcomplicate, over-innovate, or over-optimize, you can build substantial wealth by doing what everyone knows they should do, but almost nobody actually does. The Financial Clarity Program is just one example. The same principles apply to any market where people are overwhelmed by complexity and desperate for simplicity, where they're paying for solutions that don't actually solve their problems, where they're confused by conflicting advice and contradictory strategies. Health and fitness, productivity and time. Management, career advancement, relationship improvement, parenting strategies. The opportunities are unlimited because human nature is predictable and problems are universal. Let me end with the most important insight from 70 years of building wealth. Starting with nothing is actually an advantage if you understand how to leverage it correctly. When you have nothing to lose, you can take risks that wealthy people can't take. When you have no reputation to protect, you can experiment with strategies that established players won't try. When you have no existing business to maintain, you can focus entirely on building something new without worrying about cannibalizing existing revenue streams. Most wealthy people are trapped by their success. They're so focused on protecting what they have that they miss opportunities to build something better. They're so committed to strategies that worked in the past that they can't adapt to changing conditions. They're so concerned about maintaining their lifestyle that they can't take the risks necessary for exponential growth. But when you're starting from zero, you have the freedom to build exactly what the market needs, without being constrained by what worked before or what others expect from you. You can move fast, adapt quickly, and optimize purely for results instead of appearances. This is why some of the greatest fortunes are built by people who started with nothing. Not because they're inherently superior, but because they have advantages that wealthy people have lost: hunger, flexibility, and freedom. If I were starting 2026 with $0, I wouldn't see it as a disadvantage. I would see it as the ultimate opportunity to build something from scratch using everything I've learned about human nature, market dynamics, and wealth creation. I would choose one problem, create one solution, and execute one strategy with absolute focus and relentless consistency until it generated the financial foundation for building everything else I wanted to accomplish. The financial clarity program I've described could generate your first $1 million within 18 months. But more importantly, it would teach you the principles and processes for identifying opportunities, creating value, building systems, and scaling businesses that would serve you for the rest of your life. Every subsequent venture would be easier because you would understand how markets work, how customers think, and how value gets created and captured in the real economy. This is the real wealth. Not just the money you earn from your first successful business, but the knowledge and skills that enable you to build successful businesses consistently throughout your career. Money can be lost, stolen, or devalued. But the ability to create value for others, to solve problems systematically, and to build businesses that generate predictable income, this ability compounds forever and can't be taken away by market crashes, economic recessions, or political changes. So if you're starting 2026 with nothing, congratulations. You're exactly where I would want to be if I were beginning again. You have the greatest possible advantage: the freedom to build something valuable without any constraints except your own commitment to execution. The question isn't whether you can succeed. The question is whether you have the discipline to choose one strategy and execute it consistently while ignoring every distraction and resisting every temptation to chase more exciting opportunities. If you can answer yes to that question, if you can commit to solving one problem for one market using one approach for 1 year, then you don't need luck or connections or startup capital. You just need to begin. And 2026 is the perfect time to start.